Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The show is about to begin.
And hello and welcome to episode 153 of On The Bench, the podcast for scale modelers by scale modelers, all about scale models. This show is being brought to you by our latest Patreon supporter, Paul D'Orval. You too can help support the show. Simply go to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from as little as $1 per month. Your contributions are greatly appreciated and help us with our hosting and publication costs. And hello and welcome to the show. And in the studio, I should say, I've got Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day Julian, g'day listeners.
And of course, Julian's here with us again.
Good morning.
How are we all, gentlemen?
Very good, thank you.
What's news?
I bought some kits on Black Friday.
Yep.
I bought 3 car kits. So these are kits that I'd been keeping an eye on and thought they were a bit too expensive. But when Black Friday came around, I sort of had to compromise a bit. There was 2 kits that got a decent amount of discount on them, and one that was sort of only a small discount. But you know, if I was going to get it, now would be the time before someone else does.
Yep.
So one of them is the AE86 Sprinter. Well, actually, is it? Yeah, it is a Sprinter Tourer, but it's the sedan version. It's like an 80s hatchback thing, popular with the drifting crowd. You know, if you watch them stuff. One of them is the Hasegawa Galant from like the 70s or something, 60s, 50s, yeah, 60s or 70s or something.
I used to have a Galant back in the late 70s, early 80s. A Mitsubishi Chrysler Galant, 4-speed, 4-door.
Mm-hmm.
Poor guy.
It was a fun car to drive.
Yeah.
It was. Very economical.
Still a Galant.
Bucket seats. It was a good car.
Still a Galant.
It's easy to fix too. You can fix it on the side of the road. So, which I did have to do a couple of times.
Yeah. It's a Galant.
And the last one is a Ken & Mary Skyline. If you know your Skylines, you know which one that is, and if you don't, then it's like a 70s looking Skyline.
You're really deep diving into the cars at the moment, mate.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing about car kits is that if you go to any place that sells car kits, there's usually a lot of car kits, but there won't be enough of the car kits that you want. Because there's so many cars, right? It's not like...
True.
You know, like, British aircraft, okay, from World War II, there's like Spitfire, you got Hurricane, and you got like maybe 1 or 2 others, right?
Yep.
The sort of, the secondary lineup, so to speak.
Yeah.
Right? But with cars, they're always bringing out new versions. Like, even if it was just my car...
Yes.
An MX-5, aka Miata if you're an American, right? There are no kits of my car. There's the same version of it, but not the same sort of sub-version, because, you know, they did like a styling update
Right.
for the one that I have, and you can't get a model kit of it.
Huh.
Right? So if you really want to get down to specifics, you can almost never get the car kits that you want.
Right.
You know, for example, I would like to get a Lotus Elise, not Elise, a Lotus Esprit car kit. I've just built one, right?
Yeah.
Not that long ago. But the problem is, you can only get the very early version of it, which is the most basic one, the one from the James Bond movie.
Yes.
At the start, yeah, the one that goes underwater.
Yep.
But in that same movie, there's the turbo version that he takes when he goes up to the snow. You know, it goes into the mountains.
Mm.
You know, he's got his skis mounted on top. It's that beautiful orange color. You can't get a kit of that, and you can't make it either. Like, you can't just modify the kit because it'd be too difficult. There's like pinstriping and things that you would need to do in decals.
Yeah.
So as much as I would love to do that car kit, I can't. So when it comes to cars, there's just so many different variants and things out there that you'll never be able to do what you want. And chances of them being in stock are impossible. Because they have to cycle through the molds. It's like Hasegawa. It's like trying to get a Hasegawa kit. You'll never get what you want.
Yes, that's true. Oh, Hasegawa, what has become of you? Ian.
Me?
Yes.
I've stepped out of my comfort zone
Yes.
and I've started a bust.
Very good.
So I'm doing
I wouldn't say that's out of your comfort zone. I would say that's like...
I've never done a bust.
I think it's on the edge of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Because like you're pretty comfortable in all aspects of modelling, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But I've never done a bust.
Yeah, you've never done a bust.
I'm doing a sci-fi version of a Japanese Tengu demon. You know, the ones with the big long nose, all red.
Very nice.
So I'm still battling with half working airbrush. So I've only done some basic colouring.
Still waiting for that needle to come in.
Still waiting for that needle to come in, yep.
Dude, I told you it would have been quicker and easier to buy a new one.
Yeah, but at that price, I'm not buying another one at that cost. So, yeah, I painted me reds and decided for all his armour, because he's got an armoured face mask and an armoured arm, all metallic bits. I've gone with a colour shift.
Oh, very nice.
Over the top of the red, so it's going to go from red to gold to green. So, yeah, it looks quite good, that colour shift.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's what I've been working on, and started making some bases for me busts. So I've just got some 42mm dowel, cut it about a 50mm length height, and then put a 30-degree slope on it.
Very nice.
Drill a hole in the centre and put a nice brass post in there, and yeah, it looks quite nice. Actually did 5 of them. And, yeah, put me this morning before we started rocked up here, I put my first oil coat on the on the little stands, and, yeah, drilled a hole in the bottom, put a big heavy bolt in there, so it's all bottom heavy, so it won't tip over.
It's all ready to go. Ready
to rock and roll, yeah.
You know, I've noticed that some busts have come with their own bases, you know?
Yeah, none of the ones I have got their own bases. They're all
I've got one, and it does come with its own base. But I've often looked at it and gone...
Is it a bust or is it a full figure?
That's a bust.
Yep.
And I've often thought, you know, I'm not sure if I want to use that. Because, you know, I mean, if you do, then it's going to be... If you ever build any other busts, you might want them all to be the same.
Well, that's what I like doing. Like I like having the same type of bases. And all the bases I've made, I've all stained them black. So black's a good neutral colour.
See, it's a good thing I got you on the black, isn't it?
Yeah. I bought a big pot I went to Bunnings and bought a big pot of black stain.
Yeah, black is good. I mean, it's very, you know, it doesn't take away from the model.
No, not at all. So that's what I've been working on.
Cool.
What about you, Dave?
Well, I'm still building that Space 2001 spaceship. Well, you know, what's the name of the ship?
The 2000...
It's called the DX something, I think. Anyway, I'm building that.
That white, black, white and orange thing.
No.
That one you finished.
Oh, no, that's a Space 1999
I'm 2 years off.
Yeah, that's finished.
Yeah, the 2001 Space Odyssey. The big long thing with the round the ball at the end, yes.
So that's in, it's a Mobius kit in 1/350 scale.
How big is that?
It's about a...
half metre?
Yeah, about half metre long. And I'm halfway through that. So
does it come with little pods?
No, it doesn't come with little pods.
Shame.
But you can buy the pod in the larger scale.
Yeah, but you want one of the same scale. And then put it out, then you can hang it out the front and just have a little plaque on there. You can't come in, Dave.
Yeah.
I don't think so, Dave.
This Mobius kit came with some electronics, which I've decided not to put on because I'm not comfortable with electronics just yet. So I'll put that aside. Also, recently, that's right. I purchased about 3 months ago a Thor ballistic missile, and it was a 3D print, and it arrived, and much to my horror, it wasn't a resin print. It was a filament print. Yeah,
So it's full of lines.
It's got lines in it, and the scar looks a bit off to me as well. So yeah, that's my first foray into buying a 3D printed thing offline. So I think I'll just stick with maybe buying the files and getting my son to print them off moving forward, because it just hasn't been a happy exercise at this point.
No, especially when you throw money at something and it comes in below what you expected.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a bomb.
Yep.
But anyway, you got to live and learn. You don't know those things until you try them. Bought an M114. I was down at our local hobby shop about 2 weeks ago, and bumped into Sam Dwyer there while I was in there. Sam had ducked in. It was a weekday, and he ducked in there to buy some paint for his F-35, which was arriving in the mail that day.
About time.
And I saw the Take-On M114 early version, or there was only one version really, and I snaffled that, and just in time because Sam had his eyes on it as well. So
oh, you sniped him.
yeah, so it was good to catch up with him actually in the shop. So it was really cool.
You going to do this Vietnam?
No, I'm just going to build it. Oh, I don't know which version I'm going to do yet.
Just looking at the box and without looking and checking to see if TACOM actually did it correct, because they often do those
what ifs.
What if MIG schemes.
No, this isn't the what if scheme.
Well, yeah. So the Vietnamese one, or is the Vietnamese one Republic of Vietnam? Yeah. So it must be. Yeah, it's got brown camouflage things on it, whereas the German one has just green.
Well, the US Army one that was based in Germany, just olive drab.
Yeah.
I'd
be inclined to do that one because it's easier. You can do a bit more weathering and stuff without the, I think you can get a bit more, have more fun with the basic one color scheme sometimes.
Yeah, look, I've got so many other kits ahead of that in my production schedule that's going to have to sort of take a back seat. That'll be a good year and a half, 2 years before I get round to building that.
Back burner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a back burner. That's pretty much it for me, really. It's just sort of battling away and getting stuff finished, which amazingly enough, I'm managing to get quite a bit done lately. So, which is really cool.
I have worked a bit more on the MAK Falcon.
Ooh,
I haven't done much. I mean, I've been procrastinating for quite a while because I got a few things to tidy up before I close it up.
Yes.
And one of those things was the instrument panel.
Yes.
And there's, instrument decals, multiple, because it's in a large enough scale, 124, that I have to do them individually.
Yeah.
And so I've done them now, and I lost 2 along the way.
Oh.
They broke up into little fragments.
Ouch.
Yeah. And because the film exceeds further than the edge of the decal,
yep,
they don't quite want to fit into the circular slots that they fall into.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you're trying to manipulate it and get it in there, and then make sure it's rotated around to the correct upright position, and in the process you'll often just break them.
What are you going to do?
Well, I just filled it black, the ones that I broke up, and who cares?
Nobody's going to notice.
It's not too visible. Like,
just close the canopy.
Well, even if you have the hatch open, it's not a see-through hatch, and it's a wide thing. It's like the size of a spoon, the spoon part of the spoon, right?
Yep.
And so you actually have to sort of look to the side of that in order to get to the...
Yes.
I mean, it's in a large scale, so on one hand you can see it easily if you want to see it, but I mean, it's not that visible, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Have you decided on the scheme you're going to do for the whole thing?
I think so. I mean, I could still, at this point, paint the schemes that are in the box if I wanted to. But I've still modified the front so it'd be physically different a little bit.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, we'll see how we go.
I'll be very keen to see what it looks like.
Yeah, so would I. Yeah. I still got... It's like an aircraft model, so in a way, so it's got like seam work to do once I've closed it up. And I want to tie the... I've decided that my aircraft sort of things moving forward, because I always have a lot of trouble with ghost seams, is that I'm just going to leave them a long time to fully dry out so that I don't get any sort of shifting of panel lines after the fact.
Good idea.
I don't have trouble with ghost seams.
You don't?
No.
Yeah, I know, you don't. It's very weird.
Well, it's because of the way I do it. So I'll get a bit of stretch sprue and I'll lay it actually down on the actual seam line. I might even dig the seam line out a little bit once the part's been glued together, if I think it needs it. I'll dig a very slight channel, put the stretch sprue into it, melt that in there with Tamiya extra thin, and then go back and sand it.
It's the Tamiya extra thin that usually causes the problems because solvent glue can seem completely dry but isn't, and then it shifts later. I remember watching Will Pattinson when he had I forget what he was building, but where the top and bottom halves of this wing came together, there was a little tiny like stub or pin type thing that stuck up from the lower wing and supported the trailing edge of the upper wing, half of the wing. And where that was, like a long time after, it would create a little crater.
Well, I had the same issue with my Hasegawa carrier. Was it Japanese? No,
it was the Jeep carrier.
Jeep carrier. And I was using the Revell contact glue, and the plastic just just melted.
Just went too soft.
Yeah, well, that was a very over-the-top thing. But this is the thing where he'd already finished and painted it and everything, and then it would turn up again and again later.
Okay. Yeah.
So really, I mean, it all comes down to the solvent glue, but how else are you going to physically bond two pieces of plastic together in a way that's satisfactory?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to roll the dice and try and glue it with super glue, you'll definitely never have those sifting foundation type issues. But the problem is, what are the chances of you getting the alignment right the first time?
And it's not, well, you can use slow setting super glue. But the issue is then the super glue is harder than the actual plastic around it. So when you go to sort of, sand...
There's no great way around it, is there?
No. The method I use works for me. It's particularly on, the rockets I've been building and stuff. So, which, when you're doing metallics, the seam really shows up. No, you don't. And so far it's worked quite well. So I'll continue doing that.
Yeah, excellent idea.
Yes. All right, shall we... there's a few mail...
yeah, let's hit the mailbox.
Let's see now. First one comes from Brad, who writes in, and he asks that back in episode 152, he says that we thought there were now 18 hobby shops in Melbourne. He'd be interested for us to list them all on Facebook. And I certainly will get round to doing that at some point, although it's only really for the local boys to have a look at. But I'm pretty confident there's 18 model shops in Melbourne.
A few, definitely a few.
It counts like Games Workshop type stuff as well, though.
No, I don't think I counted the Games Workshop ones.
You don't think
so? No, that's without them.
I think you could realistically count non-official sort of wargaming shops to some degree. Like the House of War, you could.
House of War, yeah, that counts. That counts. John McAvoy writes in, hello gents, really enjoyed the philosophical discussion on shelf queens, and I had a few questions. Question number 1, at what point does or should a model be transferred from the stash over to the shelf of doom? Over to the shelf of doom. Is it breaking bags, clipping parts off the sprues, sanding, cleaning up parts, or gluing and painting the plastic? Or is the final blow when the model no longer fits into the original box? So that's the first question. What do you guys reckon?
That's an interesting one.
For me, it goes on the shelf is when I just physically do not want to work on it anymore. I've had burnout.
Yeah, I'm the same. Or if I hit a hurdle that I can't overcome.
Well, my initial thought is it has to no longer fit in the box, but I don't know. I've probably got some that still fit in the box that I would classify as shelf of doom. Yeah. So, I guess I'm with you guys.
Yeah. The second question is, I assume the concern with Shelf Queens is that it has lost a significant portion of its resale value. At what point does a model's value really begin to fall? I believe that those models that are in original shrink wrap hold the most value, but that might be a debatable point. Thanks in advance for your response. It's John McAvoy from Bellevue, Washington.
I think once you start clipping bits off the sprues is when you'll start losing value of a kit.
I think I'm with John here, and I think that as soon as you crack that original shrink wrap, that it's potential for it to drop in value more so.
Yeah, that is true because the Falcon often keeps stuff in the shrink wrap because he has the intention of possibly selling it later because he doesn't want to commit to building yet. But then you've got things like some kits come with resealable plastic bags that the sprues are in.
Yeah.
What's the case with that? I mean, technically you can just reseal them back up, but then you can't tell. Like, you don't know if there's ever been opened.
Well, if there's no bits missing and you haven't clipped anything off the sprues,
I'm a pretty practical person. I would consider it like if I'm the buyer, it wouldn't matter to me whether the bags were open. It wouldn't even matter to me if the parts were clipped off the sprue, as long as everything can be accounted for. What I don't want is things being glued together
or painted. Yeah.
Do you guys notice that in the latest or recently, so you buy a kit and you get it home, you take it all out to have a look at it, and you go to put it back in, it doesn't fit?
Dragon kits are renowned for that. You can never fit a dragon kit back in its
Even
box.
Take-Home stuff is like that.
Yeah, they just pack it a certain way in the factory.
Yeah. It's like a Jenga.
Yeah.
It's to a lesser degree because, like, there are degrees of how much doesn't fit back in the box, right? Yeah. Some kits, like, no matter what you do, it always sort of ends up slightly larger afterwards, right?
Yes.
But with car kits, I can never seem to... and there's far less sprues. Yeah. Far less sprues in car kits. And you know that for a fact that the body of the car is one piece and always occupies one end of the box.
Yeah.
So technically there should be less to figure out, but you still can't figure it out.
Yep, totally agree.
Gee, that's funny. Let's have a look. Mark Casiglia. I hope I got that right, Mark. Writes in, hi, Dave, Ian and Julian. I've always really enjoyed the podcast as well as one or two other ones out there. My strong impression is that podcasting has been the single greatest recent driver of growth in the hobby. Not sure of your thoughts, but personally the majority of news and info I'm getting is via podcasts, and yours in particular, given that it has more local content. You guys are onto something when you created this beast. Keep up the good work.
Oh, thank you very much. It's quite nice.
I'd like to think that's the case, so I'm going to. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that never considered attending a club or an event until we started telling people about what they actually like to attend.
Yeah, and hearing what they're actually really like from someone's point of view.
Yeah, I mean, it also helps to know that people as sociable as us can attend these events, and it's not just a room full of weirdos.
Yeah. It is still
but they're still there. The weirdos are still there, don't get me wrong. You just don't have to talk to them.
Yeah. Look, although Mark, he does have a point, but
I like to think of us as grease on the gears, so to speak.
I think that's perhaps a good way of putting it, because you look at our numbers. I mean, we're 10, 11, sometimes 12,000 episodes downloads a month, and when you compare that to, say, YouTube, which is in the can be 100,000 views on the YouTube. I think YouTube still has the bigger market share.
Yeah, so how long's YouTube been out compared to us?
Yeah, I know. But based on that, I don't think that we have that much influence, although perhaps with our listeners, the people who listen with us, we do have that influence.
Yeah, definitely.
Also, in podcasting in general, there's been an explosion in the number of successful podcasts in recent years. Like a huge explosion, especially before and after COVID. The thing is, not everything translates well to a podcast.
True.
No. Like, you can't talk about cars on a podcast very well, I don't think, because
Well, there's plenty
The
of
technical
technical
history and possibly the technical aspects you could.
yeah, but I mean, like, if you're a guy who builds cars and you talk to other people who build cars, it just becomes the same old stuff over and over again where you're like, oh, yeah, I connected this to that and it blew up and I had a problem and I had to buy more stuff, right? But, I mean, there's no real news, really.
Yeah.
I mean, how often are new cars coming out that you're going to tinker on? Not likely, really.
No.
And certainly podcasts featuring comedians has taken off really well.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
Because not every comedian is good at actual stand-up comedy, and they are still really funny in a conversation.
Yes.
So they've taken off really well, and I think modeling's taken off really well
Yep.
because
Well, look how many modelling podcasts there are.
there's so
out
many
there now.
niches
So
and
many out
nooks
there
and
now,
crannies
yeah.
that we can
Yep.
talk about in this
Yep.
hobby, you know.
Very true.
And everyone gets a little separate nugget of
Information.
you know. Everyone figures out some new way of doing it or a
Yep.
quirk.
Totally agree.
David Haddican writes in, Dave, and please pass on to Ian, but ignore Julian if he couldn't be bothered to attend the Scale ACT. Just wanted to drop you a quick email to say how wonderful it was to meet you both at the recent Scale ACT event in Canberra, and also to thank you for grabbing me for a quick interview on the show. Not only did I lose my modelling show virginity, but also my podcasting one.
That's right.
I was slightly disturbed at how different I actually sounded when listening to my own voice over the podcast, though. I hope you both had a great time in Canberra. I certainly did, and I thought that the show was superbly organised and run.
It was.
It was mainly your fault, along with the whiskey-drinking hillbillies from the US, that I attended. I thought best to send both of you a quick thank you. Without your inspiration and recommendation, I probably would never have attended, let alone entered my first kit or indeed volunteered for judging. David goes on to say that the judging was eye-opening for him, and it certainly has given him some ideas as to things to look at in his own models as he aims to improve his modelling skills. And he dropped in a couple of photos of the kit that he entered, which is a Harrier GR3. And he says, keep up the great work with the podcast and have a great festive holiday.
Thank you very much, David. That's a nice-looking Harrier too.
I always appreciate models of Harriers. There's not enough of them. You don't see them around too often.
No, you don't.
Especially the early ones.
And there's so many different schemes you can do them in too, which makes them exciting and interesting one to do.
No, he's done a good job. That was at the show too, that one.
It was. And don't forget also the US Marines with all their different variations of them as well.
Yeah, I'd look. If I was going to build a Harrier, I would want to build a US Marines one.
Well, so the Spanish used them, the Italian Navy used them.
See,
So
I'd be more inclined with the Fleet Air Arm.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like the Fleet Air Arm Harriers.
I don't.
As I know it's a modern jet and it totally goes against what I build, but the Fleet Air Arm
I like
Harriers
the I like the nose that's sort of long and pointy,
Yeah.
rather than the kind that's sort of conical, like the Sea Harrier. I don't like the Sea Harrier one.
Yeah. What about the old Kestrel, the first one, with that really long pointy thing?
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I can't. I don't. I'm not an expert on them.
All right, the next email comes from...
Uriah Cone.
That's right, you've got it in one. And he writes in, large airliners in 1/144th scale are 30 to 50 centimetres in length and span, which is very similar to a 1/32nd jet fighters. In 1/72nd scale, it's doubled. So where would you display 100 centimetre by 100 centimetre of Iron Maiden 747?
Exactly.
People have limited space and would buy less, so financially, it's not worth it for the manufacturer. Plus, the variety of painting schemes and complexity means large and expensive decal sheets. If one wants to build a fleet with mixed, medium and large-scale aircraft, it's better to keep a single scale that can be displayed easily or more often stash it. By the way, there is a 1/72nd scale Constellation and Super Constellation, which is by Heller. Now, he goes on to give us a kick up the bum because he says, what a phantom mess you guys made of the last episode. The RAAF had the early E Phantoms, which had no slats, whereas the J is the US Navy and also one of the RAF versions. The EJ, while similar to the early E's, is a Japanese version, mostly built in Japan. As educational punishment, we should all build RAAF Phantoms.
I made no mentions in that conversation.
I said it was an E.
Well, I actually even turned around and I said, I'll put it out there for the listeners to correct me, and we've certainly done that. And he goes on to say, great show, I enjoy listening, and wondered how much you drink before a wild recording, or if that's our natural state. Cheers from Israel.
Look, we start recording this at about 10:30 in the morning. So
Yeah.
we haven't drunk anything yet. But I just had an idea for airliners.
Yeah.
If you want to go large scale,
What's that?
wouldn't it be an idea if they just bear with me,
Okay.
Okay.
if they sold it as like half a fuselage with a stumpy cut-off wing, so you can mount it on the wall like a picture frame, and that way you can get all the different liveries. Because the wings are all the flipping same on painted the same on all airliners. It's mainly the fuselage body and the tail is where all the artwork is.
Well, that's what they...
And then you could like have a whole heap of them and have them like a picture frame.
You know, you might be onto something here, because that's similar to yacht hulls. They'll do a half wooden version of the yacht hull.
Yep, and
mount it in a picture frame. So you can go to some yacht clubs and you can see all different boats or yachts and their half. That's not a bad idea.
Yeah, but you could do that out of any kit, couldn't you?
yeah, but you can only you with any kit. Then unless you're going to have one aircraft facing one way and the other aircraft facing the opposite way,
Yeah.
which might work. But with me being a bit anal the way I am, I prefer to have everything facing
All
the same way.
Yeah. And how stubby would you make the wing?
I'd probably have it. I wouldn't even have an engine on it. I'd probably just have the profile of the wing.
Oh, okay.
That's all you need.
You know what? I think there needs to be I've seen a few people I know build airliners, and one of the things that makes me not want to even go anywhere near that type of model, they can't seem to get to standardize on how they do the windows. Right? Some of them do them as clear things.
Yeah, some do them as decals.
Yeah.
And it always seems to be like sometimes they'll do like one long clear strip with all the little raised things that will press into the holes for but they never fit properly.
No.
You know?
It's a bit of a cat fight, isn't it?
Yeah, there's lots of different methods and none of them seem to solve the problem properly.
Yeah.
David Waples, our good mate from the US, writes in, hi Dave, enjoyed the show as usual. I didn't hear about this upcoming release from Black Cat Models.
I did, but I totally forgot about it.
This is one that I've been waiting for and glad it's coming from Black Cat. I have already plans for these kits. Now, there's two versions. There's the early model USS Samuel B. Roberts, which is Destroyer Escort 413, which is lost at the Battle of Samar. And the late model, the USS Tabara, DE Destroyer Escort 418, which survived Hazley's typhoon and also rescued quite a few people who had come adrift.
Yeah, I'd be definitely have me hand in getting the early class because the Sammy Bs, especially with all the YouTube videos that have been out lately about when they recently found the wreck, and in what great condition and what. Because basically, it's preserved so well, you can see which particular Japanese shell from which particular Japanese ship penetrated, where it penetrated. And cause I think, is it the fore or aft section's being busted off, and it's just an amazing. It's in the splinter camouflage. I think it was in the splinter camouflage as well. So, yeah, I'll definitely have me.
I'm guessing there's a lot of 3D printed elements in that.
Yeah,
it's looking quite nice.
It is looking very
nice.
Looks cool in that photo. I mean, it's like a render, but still, looks cool.
Yep.
Thanks very much, Dave. And yes, I also saw it, but failed to mention it as well. And of course, the Falcon doesn't think that anything that floats belongs in the modelling world, so that's why we never hear much stuff from the ships.
That's why occasionally we need to hear something from the cormorants.
Yeah, very true.
Ships don't float his boat.
Very true. Last thing we got in is a announcement from our good mate Kevin Footer, who writes in, "G'day Dave and Julian. As I sit here recovering from the worst bout of man flu known to mankind, I've managed to claw my way out from my deathbed to launch the latest ebook title for KLP Publishing, which is entitled Building the Airfix F6F-5 Hellcat in 1/24th scale. Written by Chuck Sawyer, 262 pages, for a total of 17 Australian dollars, which is a bargain. Would be great, and be greatly appreciated if you guys could mention it. And of
Well, I
course,
can
we
do more
mentioned
than
it.
just mention it, because as soon as it dropped, I got online and purchased one. So I already have it.
Yep.
And yes, I do. So it is a freaking awesome book. Well worth the $17. It is a full, from bare bones to finished product. He's done a great job on it.
Well, there you go.
So if you like your Hellcats, get it.
And of course, we'd be remiss not to also mention Models for Ukraine Volume 2, put out by our good mate Chris Meddings from Inside the Armour Publications. This book is all the profits go towards Ukraine, and it is packed full with a whole heap of people who have written in this. We've got Andre Belch, Alex Clark, Brian
Dan Clow.
Calvin Tan, Sam Dwyer, Stephen Ward, Liz Meddings, Renee Vanderhart, Ken Abrams, Matt McDonald,
Just to name a few.
Matt McDougall, I beg your pardon. And
Mike McCabe. There's so many.
Oh, absolutely.
So many.
And it's a fantastic book. And as I said, not only are you doing something to help the people in Ukraine, but there's some great modelers, great models in there, and great modelling tips as well. And this certainly should be in your bookshelf. So go to Inside the Armour Publications and order your copy now before they're all sold out.
And a big hats off to Chris for actually just doing it all on his own.
Absolutely.
For no profit for himself.
Absolutely. It's very selfless. All right. I think we might have a very quick break before we hear from the Falcon.
The Falcon.
As to what's news in the modelling world. So we'll be back very shortly. The Scale Model Supply. Certified Australian made, the Scale Model Supply has a comprehensive range of premium acrylic lacquer paints that have been specifically developed to cater to the scale modeller. Designed to use straight from the bottle, SMS paints have taken all the guesswork out of airbrushing. Simply shake, pour and spray for a fast drying and extremely durable result. But wait, there's more. SMS have just released the new water-based range, Infinite Colour. It is the ideal paint for anyone who is into miniature painting. And with 48 colours that can be mixed to create any colour you want, the possibilities are, well, infinite. The ever-growing range of SMS paints will suit all types of model builders, be it military, aircraft, train, car, science fiction, or even Gunpla. SMS paints will have a colour to suit you. Available now through selected stockists worldwide and online at www.scalemodeller.com.au. Okay, so we're back, and the Falcon's written in with some new kits. Let's have a quick look at what the Falcon has to say. Dear Dave, Ian and Julian, Aircraft News, Sebesta have released their 2023 catalogue and have shown us the new tool kits they plan to release next year. In 148 scale, we get a new variant of the Yak 9. This time it will be with the 37mm Canon armed Yak 9T. In 72nd scale, there will be an AC-130J Hercules and a Kamov KA-27 helicopter. And carried over from 2022, there's going to be a MiG-23 MT. In Dove scale, which is 1/144th, there will be a Yak-40 Codling and a Tupolev Tu-95 Bear. Oh, geez, getting a bear.
It's always going to be too big.
It's a big plane.
In 1/44th scale, it'll be okay.
Still be big.
Yeah, it will be. Of course, Avesta will be releasing some vehicle kits, but those will be dealt with later. ICM models have just added their lineup of 32nd scale Yaks with a Yak 9K. They'll also be releasing a couple of special boxings of the Yak 9T. The Yak 9T Normandy Niem and Marcel Lefebvre figure, and a Yak 9T plane of Roland de la Popie. Oh, whatever that is. Clear props, I should say, 48 scale kit of the Biker Tear TB2,
Bayraktar.
thank you. TB2 drone is now available for purchase.
Come on, man. It's the drone of the Ukraine conflict.
Yeah, true. Hot on the heels of the announcement of a sea hurricane, Armour Hobby have just announced another addition to their 72nd scale hurricane range. It's going to be the Hawker Hurricane Mark 2D. The 2D specific parts will be 3D printed. In February 2023, Hobby Boss plan to release a 48 scale Corsair F4U-1D. And Mini Art's 148 scale aircraft range begins with more of a whimper than a bang. First release in the range is a set of US 55-gallon drums, fuel drums. Depending on whether you believe the box art or the press release, you either get 20 drums or 12 drums, and either 5 or 3 hand pumps to go with it. That'd be okay for those who like doing dioramas.
Dioramas, yeah.
German 148 scale modelers aren't being left out. Mini Art are releasing a set of German 200-litre fuel drums in 148 scale. There are 5 sprues in the box. That means you get 20 fuel drums and 5 hand pumps. Trumpeter 148 scale Mi-8 MT helicopters should be out in February 2023. The kit comes with a tiny fret of photo etch and a set of canopy masks. The completed model will be quite large at 525mm long, with a rotor diameter alone of 444mm.
That's quite large.
If there isn't a folding blade option, you're going to need a very large display case.
Very true.
Special Hobby / MPM are to re-release their 148 scale Heinkel 117A Grief.
Oh, that's going to be a big kit.
It's not going to be a straight re-release. Many of the smaller parts will be new or updated. Looking at the CAD renders, it appears that the cockpit interior, gun turrets, wheels, undercarriage and exhausts will all be new. All in all, quite an improvement on the original kit. Okay, on to military vehicle news. Avesta have 5 new Tool 135th scale kits planned for 2023. There's going to be a BMP-3, a T-62, which is 74-75 version, an Su-76 SPG, and an STZ-5 with BM-13 Katyushka. Yeah, one of those ones.
Stalin's organ.
And finally, a Stug 4. Rifle models will offer a 35th scale Tiger 1 late production with Zimmerit and full interior. In celebration of the sale of 60,000 of their Panzer IV kits, Border Models will release a limited edition of the Panzer IV OS FJ Early Mid with railway flatbed. Don't delay, there will only be 2,000 of them. Gee, they've sold 60,000 of those kits.
Must be pretty popular.
Vespid Models have shown box art for the forthcoming 72nd scale Leopard 2 AV7 main battle tank. Has this been announced before? There have been so many 72nd scale Leopard kits announced recently that I've lost track. I don't blame him. Ace Models are releasing 2 72nd scale kits of their Soviet World War II BR-5 280mm heavy mortars. The kit features Lincoln length tracks and photo etch parts, and there is also a sprue of vinyl rubber that may be rubber band type tracks, but it's a bit hard to identify what they are actually supplying in the photo.
I just noticed that you said we'll be releasing 2 72nd scale kits. It's actually a misprint.
Yes, supposed to be 1 72nd scale. Well, I just read exactly what the Falcon says. That way he can't blame me for going off script. I Love Kits are about to release a 135th scale US M1001 tractor truck with an M790 erector launcher trailer for the Perishing 2 missile. The kit is just over 447mm long, and it features rubber tyres, window masks, and 2 photo etch frets. And it's going to retail at $138 US.
It's going to be pretty decent size, eh?
It is. Also from I Love Kits is a 135th scale M1278A1 heavy gun carrier modification with the M153 Crows. The kit features rubber tyres, window masks, and photo etch parts. Unfortunately, we don't have a recommended retail price for this one. Hobby Boss will release a 1/35th scale SD KFZ 179 Burge Panther OS FG late version in February 2023. And Miniart have just announced a kit of the D8500 German agricultural tractor model 1938, the famous Lance Bulldog. If you're probably thinking, wait a minute, they released that kit ages ago. Well, yes, they did, but this time it's different. It's in 1/24th scale.
Oh, okay, so they've upscaled it.
Yeah, it's a bit odd.
To car scale.
Yeah. Also from Miniart, yet another 1/35th scale Stug G3. The Stug G3 OS FG February 1943 Alcat production with winter kit.
Winter Ketter.
These are starting to get awfully specific. Why do Miniart think they are? Who do Miniart think they are, I should say? Are they Dragon? Question mark. And that's it from the Falcon. I guess this will be it for the year, as I don't expect On the Bench crew will be recording on Christmas Eve. Well, we haven't decided that yet. I'm going to think about what we're going to do. Anyway, that's all from the Falcon, and he says, happy holidays to everyone. Well, there you go.
Lovely.
Thank you very much, Mr. Falcon.
Yes.
And thanks for all the wonderful support you've given us during the year.
Yep. It's very much appreciated.
Terrific information you've always given us. Don't forget, if you want to write into us, you can. Send us an email to onthebench64@gmail.com. Don't forget all the other fantastic podcasts out there. Just go to podcast.com, which will give you a full listing of all the podcasts.
ScaleModelPodcast.com.
Beg your pardon. Thank you. ScaleModelPodcast.com. Give you a full listing of all the fantastic podcasts that are out there. And we encourage you to listen to all the other shows as well.
Definitely, because they're great value.
Oh, certainly are. And it's a very collegiate... I didn't say that word too well.
We all work well together.
We go very well together.
Yes.
And as Kentucky Dave is always pushing this barrow, I'll sort of join in on him. If you know somebody in your club who doesn't yet listen to a podcast, show them how to do it, because that's the only way we can sort of spread the word.
That's it.
All these fantastic shows. All right. I think we'll have another very quick break before we have our interview with our mediocre modeler. So we'll be back very, very shortly. Whether you build aircraft, armour, ships, science fiction, cars or figures, the Fine Scale Modeler magazine provides the how-to information you need to take your modelling to the next level. In each issue of Fine Scale Modeler, you'll find clear how-to features on model assembly and finishing written by experts, reviews of the hottest model kits and products, tips and techniques for assembling, painting and finishing, as well as inspiring photos of readers' models. To find out how you can get your copy of Fine Scale Modeler, go to www.finescale.com. Okay, so normally on the show we have a whole heap of people we get on to interview and talk, and usually these are sort of stellar modelers and people who've got big industry background. This time we thought we'd go the opposite way and just talk to an average modeler.
Or below average.
Well, below average. So on the show, we've got Brad Belsheim. 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 There you go. How are you, mate?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. I'm just having a bit of trouble with your sound there, so I've just got to do a little bit of wobbling around here to maybe fix it up. So that might be a bit better. Okay, go for it.
You want me to count to 5 again?
No, because we're recording live.
Oh, well, there we go. Yeah, so things are good. It's the time of the year up here where it's getting cold. We had some snow in November, and now the snow's gone, but it's going to come back in a week. So getting ready for the holidays and buying way too much in kits. Got 3 things on the go. It's a typical average modeler because I'm average.
Well, if we're going to talk about your mediocreism, let's take a step right back and just for the rest of the audience, just say where you come from and your journey to being a modeler.
Cool. So I'm originally from San Diego, California. Then I lived in Texas for about 7 years, and now I live up in Northeast Ohio, like a lot of people, modeled as a kid. My dad built ship models. My brother built airplane models, and I was the one, the guy on his own building tank models. And then, of course, life happens, and girls and school, and you stop. And then about 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I had a set of twin boys. And when they were about 10, they wanted me to pick up a model, and we built a airplane, a wingy thing, and built it, and they loved it. And I got back into the hobby and haven't really looked back since then. So it's been about 20 years now, and mostly do armor, almost exclusively. Every once in a while, I'll do an airplane, and I won't show it to anyone because I don't want anyone to know just how bad I can build an airplane.
You don't need to show everybody the model. Everybody knows how bad you build.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I mean,
average,
you just any contest you go to, if I've entered something, you'll find it. Right away, you'll know which one's mine.
It's been culled in the first part of the judging.
Yeah. My amps friends, just to give me a hard time, they're always like, Brad, that is a solid bronze. That is just a solid bronze. You should be so proud of that bronze. It's awesome. There's no way you're not going to get a bronze.
Wow, there you go. So you're a big fan of the amp style of judging, and you're mainly sort of moving those circles.
Yeah. So there's Dave Morris, who you met at the Nationals for IPMS.
Yes.
He and I went to the Amps Nationals earlier this year, and then we went to ArmourCon. That was in June, and so we're planning on going to the Nationals again next year, which will be in Pennsylvania. So it'll be a little bit closer because it was in Virginia last time, and that's about a 9-hour drive. So versus about a 5-hour drive.
Big difference.
Nothing wrong with a nice 9-hour drive. You can count dead
especially
animals
with
along
Dave. Especially with Dave. I mean, he's going to tell you all about his patients and all their issues, and so and I just want to talk about tanks, and he's telling me about people who can't sleep at night, and I'm like, well, you should be able to solve all of that, but
We got a pill for that.
Yeah.
we got a pill, or you can just talk to him.
Right.
That's true too. What sort of tank models mainly sort of grab you? What era? Is it World War One, World War Two, modern, or you right across the whole spectrum?
The whole spectrum, yeah. So like, last thing. Well, like I'm on the Amps review committee, so you get on and they get kits from TACM or Mang or whomever, Hobby Boss, Trumpeter. And it's a smaller group of guys, people who are members, and you say, hey, I'd like the TACM, I got the VT-1-2, which is that turretless German experiment from the 80s.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you get it, and the point is to build it out of the box, so no ads because it's a review. Use kit decals. And then paint it however you want, and they're pretty good about giving you time to do it. They don't expect it to be done in a day. Although the VT-1-2 I did in about 4 days because I just really thought it was cool. So I've done that. I'm working right now on a Sherman Crab, which is the Asuka base kit with the Resicast conversion, and an English modeler did a 3D print for the chains for me. They're just amazing. I have no idea how he did it, but they are just amazing. I will put them on your bench. You cut them off the tree thing, and they're workable and they swing and everything. It's just amazing.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So I've got that. I'm looking at that right now. It's just got like the beginnings of the bar on the front. The base kit's pretty much built. I've got my mate who works at Bovington. It's an invaluable resource, and he took about 100 pictures of the one they have for me. So some good resources to get that to look right. And then I've got, and I know Ian's going to be jealous, I've got Vargas's Matilda 1.
Oh, you got it. Well done.
And it's got all 20 parts, so it's
Yep.
it's really really hard. Actually the hardest part is getting the suspension and tracks, which are all one piece on each side, to fit properly. I mean, they fit pretty good. I'm going to have to, I think, drill out the locator pins, but they look great. It looks really stunning. I'm hoping to get primer on it maybe even tonight, but we'll see. And then I've got, and he kind of gave me that as a review, so I'm reviewing it right now, and I'm telling you right now, it's a great kit. So send your money to America and buy yourself a Vargas Matilda 1.
Oh, I spent a lot of money with Vargas when I was over
So
at
did
National
I.
last year.
We both did.
Or this year, yeah.
Yeah. Was that the second suitcase? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
And then as another review build for amps, I'm doing the Hobby Boss French R35 with the FCM turret. So it's their old R35 full interior, but it's got the turret from the FCM tank because they ran out of turrets, the cast turrets.
Right.
And they built some of these with these welded turrets, and it looks like a little. If you know, well, you guys know Japanese ships. It looks like a pagoda. It looks like a conning tower. I mean, like it looks like from a Japanese warship from World War II.
Yeah.
See, I know something about ships, not a lot, but I mean,
I'm impressed.
They float. They float.
They're
and
also
got
made out of
really
steel.
big guns. Yeah,
Well, even some armored
and-
stuff floats too.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Unless it's Russian, and then they think it floats, and then it sinks.
So all these fantastic
but-
reviews that you're writing up, where can people actually see all this sort of stuff? Is this purely for the amps audience, or is there a wider audience it's available for?
Yeah, so what Louis Vargas and I do together is I just pretty much I take a lot of pictures while I'm building it, and I'll put it on like 10 different Facebook groups,
Right.
and he'll then kind of do that, and I think point people in that direction and say here's one in the wild, here's one out there. There's already reviews out there. I think he's good about giving them maybe 3 or 4 out to different people. So that's how kind of he does it. But amps, you go to their website, and they've got a separate review section. So they do books that people, the publishers give them. They do figures. They do anything tank related, and sometimes actually not tank related, because Tacom gave them that weird the German Silberhagen, the space plane.
Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So, that bounced off the atmosphere and then they landed someplace. But, it's that you go to the website and you can look various ways. You can look under, Commonwealth World War II, or you can look under Brad Belsheim or Belsheim. It might be easier to find if you say it wrong. If you're Dave. But, yeah, and it's. I don't think you have to be a member to look at them. I think you can just look at it. But then, if you're a member, because some of the reviews get into the Amps Bore site. If you've ever seen their magazine, they have a paper, good old old school paper magazine, which is also online. And you interviewed. Well, I helped you set up the interview with the guy from Amps.
Yes,
a while back.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
They now have a foreign. And I know you're not foreign; you're Australian. They have a foreign member system to where you don't have to pay for postage. It's all online, right? So because the postage was what was killing foreign membership, is you pay more than the magazine to get the magazine. Yes. So it's digital only, and I think that's a great step for them to modernize in that way. Always trying to get more members. Ian, maybe we could get you on the review thing, and for like $3,000 we could mail you a kit.
There you go.
But yeah, it's I like amps. I mean, they've got their problems, just like IPMS. I mean, nothing's perfect.
No,
You know, we have
amps,
a very
amps is perfect. What are you talking about?
yeah. Well, it's not. I mean, yeah. I mean, and here's the thing. I think I'm not too much of a plaque hog or metal hog or whatever. I just want to know, like, what did you see, and that's that was wrong with it, and then write it down. And you don't get that on an APMS, but you do get it in amps.
Yeah.
And that's what I really like. And now you can then disagree with it and say, well, it's supposed to be that way or whatever, but that's a different subject. I mean, at least you know what they thought was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Dave and I went to IPMS Cleveland show about a month ago, and I think you guys have seen my JS2.
Yes.
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It's
awesome
very,
build.
very, very mediocre. Very mediocre. But in Amps world, there was some kind of mistake, and it got a silver.
Oh.
Yeah,
Judges must
some
have been
kind of-
off their game that day.
Yeah, I think it was like a hanging Chad. Americans can't count votes kind of thing. It's not mandatory to vote here like it is in Australia.
No.
we don't know what we're doing.
No. Let me see. We have an international audience. I'll put that myth to bed. It's not legally required that we have to vote. The league, it states that we have to turn up to the polling booth and have our name checked off the list, and then we're free to do whatever we want.
And then you can have the free sausages that they give out, right?
The democracy sausage.
Which aren't free.
Yes. Yes. See, I know more about
Democracy has a
Australia
price,
than you think. Well, it is. And in your case, it's bad sausage. In our case, it's never mind. No, it's like I said. I entered the JS2 in the Cleveland show, and it got a goal, first place in IPMS lingo
Well done.
for Soviet. And there was quite a bit of competition, so I was quite pleased with that. And then, but no comments. I mean, again, you get first place, but you don't. Okay, I won.
Yeah.
What did you like about it? I mean, you liked it better than second place. Okay, well, cool. And then I had a Stewart, the new gen. It's not brand new anymore, but the Tamiya Stewart. And I got third in American because they had so many splits because they had a lot of armor. They had like almost 600 entrants, which I thought was
That's
quite
impressive.
good for a Cleveland area show. But there's a lot of towns around Cleveland. I mean, people were coming from as far away as Chicago even. So it was a good show. Lots of vendors. Oh my God, Ian, you would have had to buy a third suitcase.
Oh, really?
There was a guy blowing out trumpeter KVs at $22 US. Every kind of KV,
That's giving them away.
that's giving them away.
Hey.
So some of them jumped into my bag. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. Even Dave bought one, and Dave. I mean, geez. So that was there. Lots of vendors, the cars, planes, everything. Really well done show. I think it's under IPMS. What they did is if you had second or third before they did the awards, your award was on next to your kit or your piece. And then only the first place people didn't know, right? And then they announced third and second, but then you didn't have to go up there because your award was already on your table, right?
Yeah, that makes
And
it
then-
go quicker.
It made it go really, really well, and so that was cool. So yeah, it's but I like amps better. Like I said, it's currently we're the modeling miscreants, right? That podcast, the New Yorkers, and they do a build night every night. They're doing one right now. I mean, they have a build night on up every single night, which is great because if you're really bored, you can go talk to New Yorkers and they'll break your balls, as they say. And then you got to give it back, and it's a great time. And sometimes people fall asleep during the build. That's a running joke. But their suggestion, and I really like this, and I wanted to get you guys' opinion, is in the amps world, or it doesn't have to be amps, but the gold, silver, bronze, is amps also has beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then master. And master, there's very few master. Those are guys who've won master at a contest, right?
Yep.
So by another fluke, somehow I'm in the advanced category. So again, some kind of accounting error. That we think that only advanced should be able to judge advanced, because the judges are all, there's a team, there's a table captain when they judge.
Yes.
And that guy or person is supposed to be, he's been vetted, he or she's been vetted. And then everyone else, you can just sign up and you can judge. And I think that's great because you learn a lot. I mean, again, Dave loves that. I do it because, otherwise I have to pay for all the gas when we drive instead of half the gas. So, I do it. You do learn stuff. But, you can tell there's a beginner judge and it's just, to be honest, they don't know what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Fully agree.
And they tend to just go with the table captain.
Sure.
So if the table captain says, well, this, and you're something you're not supposed to even comment on, like this black disruptive stripe is too dark, it should be, highlighted, then they're gonna go with that because well, he's the table captain, he must know what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so if he takes off a point, everyone takes off a point. And that's not right. That's not right at any level, but that's especially not right when, if you've been doing this maybe a bit longer, you maybe should get some more street cred coming in from the get-go. That's just, and that's the New Yorker's point of view, and I really agree with that.
No, I agree too. Like, it makes sense.
I think you can judge down, and I know that sounds horrible, right? Judging down, but I mean, if you're intermediate, then you can judge beginner. If you're advanced, you can judge intermediate. If you're master, well, then you're master, and sun shines out of where, and so.
But the issue is that with all these sort of shows, all the judging is voluntary based anyway. So the whole thing, I mean, it's just such a, you're pushing a big log uphill, aren't you?
Yeah, except in Europe they have the judges set aside ahead of time.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, my comment is like, so if you went to the Olympics and at the beginning they were like, hey, who likes diving? You like diving? Cool. Come over here. We're going to show you about a 10-minute video, and then you get to judge the divers.
Yeah.
And you can't. Now, it doesn't matter what kind of swimsuit they have on. That doesn't count. So, but you're going to judge.
This is an interesting conversation because, you could sort of say, well, an intermediate judge should be able to judge intermediate and lower, but then you would always have that one ass who wants to hold lower categories to his higher standards. Right. Yeah,
it's not you're absolutely right. We've talked about it. It's not a perfect solution. I think it's a partial solution.
You'll only ever have partial solutions.
Yeah,
it's just the nature of the things,
Right. And I find myself when we went to ArmourCon, there was a kit. It was very well built. I mean, it would have in IPMS land. It would have done great, right? Mm-hmm. But it had all the character of an accountant with Augsburgers. I mean, it was just had no character, right? I mean, it had no character whatsoever. And, people were saying how great it was, and it was from just a build point of view, but it is partially an overall presentation, right? And it just had no character, but it also was basic. So what do you do with that? I mean, I gave it I couldn't find anything to take off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be a problem. Yeah.
The decals weren't silvered. Everything was aligned. I mean, again, in IPMS land, it would have been like an amazing, best in class type thing. But it was American, and the olive drab was this new color that I guess we used in Vietnam called black. It wasn't olive drab. It was way too dark. It was whatever. But it was built right. So, you got to take that stuff into consideration.
Yeah, you do. And I'm not sure where... I mean, you could aim for professional judging, but the issue with that is even they bring their own biases to the table as well.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. It's Julian hit it on the head. Everything is going to be a partial solution.
Yeah, it is. It is. But
And-
at least there's organisations out there trying and willing to look at it and sort of push the boundaries
Yep.
towards that, light on the hill that we call perfection. And
Yeah.
unlike some other organisations who are sort of, stuck back in the 1970s and are refusing to move.
Yes. Yeah. Who shall remain nameless, but had a show in Nebraska. And we'll have a show in Texas, but that's enough about that.
Yeah. Well, it's not just in the US, and let me tell you that it also happens around the rest of the world as well. So,
definitely.
But there's people out there fighting the good fight and sort of really championing the need to sort of bring in change, and it's 1, 2, 3 is just so gone then because. And this is what we're seeing as a result of, maybe it's a result of, a whole heap of things, but more models coming back from during COVID, the increase in YouTubing where somebody who's stepping into the hobby can reach a higher level quicker than, say, when we started back into the hobby.
Yep.
And so you're seeing so many fantastic kits that, on any given Sunday on their own would be deserving of a first, second or third, getting nothing. And that's why I'm a big fan of gold, silver, bronze.
Well, and so I'll give you an example of what I thought was a good hybrid. Back in San Diego, we had this unassociated club. It wasn't amps, it wasn't IPMS. It was just a bunch of model nerds and meeting once a month. And then they had a contest every January. And they had first, second, and third. And there was only one first and only one second and only one third, but they made comments on everybody's entries. So it was sort of IPMS, but sort of amps.
Yep, like a hybrid.
Yeah. And I mean, they went as far as, there was a couple fourth places I remember distinctly where there was like, hey, this is a great model. We had a very difficult time placing this between third and fourth. Just wanted you to know. I mean, I don't know if that makes the guy feel better or worse, but hey.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, I think that, meeting you guys at the Nationals and all the podcast guys that were there, that's really what the contests are about, I think. And you guys have said this, and pretty much all the podcast guys say it. It's meeting people.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll give you, I have this idea, like next time I go to Australia, and it'll be number 3, I'll just, find out that you guys are going to be at a contest and absolutely sure and just walk in and watch your faces like, what the hell is he doing here?
That'd be awesome.
Hang on, wait. You mean we're going to let you in for a third time?
Well, I've got it. I have another name. I've got another passport. So,
there we go.
There's always a way around.
Yes,
there's always a way. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
No, it'd be great.
I did that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did that in San Diego. I didn't tell my old club. I knew they were having a meeting. I knew it was on. I was out there visiting my son, and I borrowed his car. I drove. It was like an hour drive. Drove down there and just walked into the meeting. And nobody knew I was going to be there, and they were just like, what the hell?
Brilliant.
And I brought a kit, and I actually had brought a kit that I with me, and I said, "Hey, snuck this on the plane. Take a look." So that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
So you've been out to Oz a couple of times in the past. You've mentioned whereabouts, which parts of Australia did you visit?
So first time went to Sydney and then Brisbane and then
He even
Cairns.
said the word Brisbane properly.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not Brisbane. Yeah, I know that. Did all the tourist stuff. Went to the Blue Mountains and went to Manly Beach and went to checked out the Circular Queue and went over to what's that weird theme park that's across the bridge.
Luna Park.
Oh, Luna Park.
Yeah, Luna Park, and I've done the bridge climb twice.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Proud. Yeah.
Well, I've never done it.
Oh, you got to do the bridge climb. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you can sort of justify it if you're a tourist, but if you're
local.
from there,
yeah,
right?
Yeah,
it's just
like,
too expensive.
yeah.
It's just like, just paying a lot of money to reach high ground.
it's like being in San Diego and people are like, so how often do you go to the beach? I'm like, I don't know.
Exactly right. Yes, that's exactly.
It's right there. Why do I need to make a special occasion?
Yeah.
When was the last time you went? A year ago.
Yeah.
Too many people, too much sand.
Yeah. So that was the first time, and then the second time, went to Sydney again, and then went to Melbourne, and raised your crime rate there momentarily, and then we went to Tasmania.
Isn't that
where
beautiful?
the end,
Yeah.
the end of the world,
Yep.
almost literally the end of the world, and that was amazing.
Yeah, it is a great place.
Yeah, I love Tasmania.
Yeah.
I've spent
Yeah.
many months working down there actually, and a lot of time sort of driving around, and the west coast is just hauntingly beautiful. It's just untouched wilderness.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Stayed at that place up at Cradle Mountain for like 3 nights where there's no internet, there's no nothing, there's just like the one restaurant at the main place, and
Sure.
spent way too much money, and
Yeah.
that was walked around the lake, and the famous boathouse. That was just amazing.
See, I know a guy that moved down to Tasmania, a modeler, and he only seems to get more miserable the longer he's down there. Or at least I would be miserable if I was there, because like he only ever talks about the weather and things, and it's always like, oh yeah, it's much colder here than Melbourne, and then in summer, oh, it's much hotter here than in Melbourne.
Actually, we've known a couple models who've moved down there. So yeah.
Yeah, and there's no hobby shops down there.
No.
There's one in Hobart.
There's one.
Oh, there you go. There's one
Yeah.
in Hobart.
Yeah, I
You
mean
guys
it's
more
right
than
in. You guys have so many shops in Melbourne. I mean, you
I
can't
know.
swing a dead cat without hitting a
they're
hobby shop.
I know it.
They're everywhere.
Yep.
The worst
Hey,
thing
what is it? Something in the water?
It could be.
I'm not sure what it is, but
It's quite dangerous when there's a hobby shop 5-minute drive from home.
Yeah,
and
that's
not only dangerous but handy as well. I don't know what it is, but there's something about Melbourne where they support the old style bricks and mortar shops, and what's the population of Melbourne now? About 3-4 million people.
Something
so
like that, yeah.
it's not a huge population base, and yet these guys are making a living out of it. So. And yet it's funny that the modelling clubs here in Melbourne aren't exactly what you call huge compared to sort of, other states and other countries.
Well, there's a lot of clubs in Melbourne. The problem is they're not. It's like dispersed. All the people. Like there's lots of clubs with 10 people or so.
Yes,
yeah.
I wouldn't call them large.
It's kind of like LA, right? Don't you have a lot of suburbs, right?
Yeah.
So it's a pain in the ass to go from the northern suburbs to the western suburbs or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
And no one wants to go to the northern suburbs anyway.
Oh, you're going
Right.
to
Is
get
that where-
mail coming in now.
Kind of smells funky.
Direct all the hate mail to Ian on the bench64 at gmail.com. Attention, Ian. We've got some really good mates who live in the northern suburbs.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a little amps club here. I mean, there's 25 members, I think, online, and we meet once a month, and we meet at my house, and maybe 5 guys show up. But we do a virtual version as well. So
Yes.
we have my British buddy who works at Bovington will pop in sometimes, and some of the miscreants will pop in. And Dave said this really well, that it's amazing when you think about it, right? I mean, here we are, you're in Australia, I'm in my basement in Ohio, and we're talking to each other live, and you couldn't do this 20 years ago.
Not at all.
Period.
No.
You couldn't do it 10 years ago with the sort of quality
Yeah.
you have now.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Kinda-
mean,
kinda
for
scary.
Julian,
You go.
for Julian, it's all normal because he's only like 25. But for the rest of us,
25. Yeah, he just casually just rip 15 years off my life. I still remember the dial-up era.
You do?
yeah. Was that the little toy phone that you pulled along when you were?
Oh my goodness.
I had one. I mean, my granddaughter has one, so I don't know if the little kids know what the dial is for, but
Not anymore.
You still
Yeah,
have
not
them 'cause-
anymore.
You still have them because that's what your armor models look like.
Oh,
That's right. That's right. That's a very good point, Julian. That's a very good point. Wow.
So
Yeah.
moving
I
forward,
would say something about.
go on.
I was going to say something about car models and the molding along the windows, but I'm too nice a guy.
That's all right. Like I hate those too.
So moving forward, you've got a big hobby show coming up in 2023 that's in your neck of the woods, Wisconsin.
2023 or 2024?
2024, sorry.
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Nationals will be in Wisconsin. It's close, but it's our states aren't quite as big as yours, but there's some big states here in the Midwest, and so there's a couple to cross. So
Well, I know Ohio reasonably well because I was there at Sandusky. Sandusky?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was there about 10 years ago actually now for doing some secret squirrel business over there.
Yeah, that's where Dave lives.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, he lives in Sandusky.
Oh, it's a beautiful part of Ohio.
Yeah. My daughter plays volleyball, club volleyball, and there's a lot of tournaments there because they have good facilities, and so I go there a lot too.
Very cool. So I'm planning to be there for 2024, so we'll definitely catch up then.
Yeah, I'll make sure the police know. And
Well, actually, I'm going to outfox you because I'm going to fly into Canada first to drop the wife off at her sister's place, and I'm going to either drive or fly to Wisconsin or to Madison from Toronto.
well, so do you know Chris Johnson, the Canadian modeler? Do you happen to know him?
Yeah, I know Chris.
Well, he's a retired Mountie, I think, so I'll make sure he knows about you coming in. So we'll take care of that. We'll fix you. We don't want to go into the whole Australian convict thing. That never goes anywhere.
Now, I recall, so don't you better watch how you what you say, because I recall somebody telling me a story about getting caught by the Stasi or something once upon a time.
Yeah. That's true. Maybe we should just agree to stop now. I won't talk about whether you still need a criminal record to get into Oz, and you won't talk about me visiting the Stasi's little green shed
In East Germany.
by Checkpoint Charlie. Yeah, in East Germany.
Oh, that made for a very funny story.
It was a great story. That was
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to leave that story there.
Yeah, that stays under the carpet.
Yeah. So anything else you guys wanted to cover, or
Well, I just,
what are you guys building right now? What are you building, Ian? You've always got
nobody ever
amazing
asked
stuff.
us anything, so
Yeah,
that's
well,
really cool. What do you?
I kind of fell in a hole where my airbrush cacked itself and didn't do anything for close to a month. And now I've decided I'm doing my first bust. So I'm doing
Really?
it's
what?
a Japanese, it's like a Tengu demon, but cross sci-fi.
Wow.
So
Uh,
the
is
big,
it- is
the
it
big
a-
long nose, all the red skin and armor.
3D print or traditional?
It's traditional resin sculpt. So I've made a start on that.
I went equally strange. Do you know the animated movie from I think the 80s called Wizards?
No.
Yes, I
It's a
do. Yeah.
Post-apocalyptic thing, and there's all these mutants.
Wait. Is that where the elves are all in trenches and they're fighting and everything?
Yes.
Yes.
This sounds very bizarre.
And there's the red assassin named Peace.
Yes.
Remember him?
Yep.
So I found a 3D print of that online and I bought it.
Oh,
Get
I
out of
mean,
here. Really?
Talk about going out of your lane, right? I mean,
it is,
I don't
isn't it?
even know.
Yeah.
I'll send you guys a picture. It's pretty cool though. I haven't painted it or anything yet, but it's pretty cool. Yeah. So what about you, Julian? Which kind of Celica are you making?
Well, at the moment, I'm sort of I've got a couple of sci-fi subjects on the go. So, like, I got an MAK hover. What do you call it? The Falcon. That
okay, yeah.
by Hasegawa. And then I've also got like a cross thing from Hasegawa. But I just bought 3 new car kits, so I want to build those. But I really should finish off what I've started.
Did you hear me fall out of my chair? No, you didn't, because of course I didn't fall out of my chair, because of course you bought 3 car kits.
Look, it was Black Friday, all right, and some things that I had kept my eye on, and it wasn't quite cheap enough for me to justify, suddenly became cheap enough for me to justify. So I bought them. You don't have
to explain your hobby to me. I completely understand. After we talked to Mr. Goldfinch. I'll tell you what I bought recently, and you might fall out of your chairs.
All right. So, Dave.
Well,
yeah.
Let me see now. I'm building a lot of sci-fi stuff. Let me just move the camera around so you can see me. Hey, there you go.
Hey.
Look at that.
That's not sci-fi. I mean,
I know it's not sci-fi. I'm building a lot of sci-fi at the moment because we've got a club display coming up next year. But I bought the Tacom M114 because I reckon it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a cool. I had a buddy in Louisiana build it. He loved it.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty cool. This Matilda. Well, okay, so I'll tell you what I bought. This all came in the last week. This is bad. This is, even for me, this is bad. So I bought the Resicast full resin kit of the DD Sherman with the lowered screen.
Oh my!
Oh yes.
So my daughter's not going to go to that semester of college.
I got my eye on that kit in the past.
It's beautiful. Oh, Julian, it's beautiful. It's amazing.
It was in stock and at B&A Model World over here, and I'd kept my eye on it for a period of months, and then when I thought, I really should buy that before someone buys it, and I went to go buy it, it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. Well, I bought it when the euro. When the euro was crashing against the dollar, so I was like, I'm going to get this while the getting's good.
Yes.
And I bought it straight from Resicast. So I got that. I got the Tacom Mauschen, that big, paper panzer. I got that as a review build.
Yeah.
This is all in the last 7 days, mind you guys.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got the Vespid Comet in 1:72 scale.
Yeah.
I got 2 Tamiya Comets because I'm going to build one real quick, and then I'm going to build one with all the aftermarket stuff. And, I'll wait as it comes out. I got the Matilda. I got an old Sherman, Tamiya Sherman, because I'm going to build as part of the group with the Miscreants, we're going to build some Marine Corps Shermans, and that's a good
cool.
base kit. And then today, the mailman was kind enough to drop this off.
Oh my! You've got one already. I'm still waiting for mine.
So
the Earnhardt.
The Earnhardt armoured car.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Have you seen all the photo which they got out for that now?
Yeah. remember who you're talking to.
Yes.
Because when you're a mediocre modeler, you need all the help you can get.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'm still waiting for mine.
Yeah, it was supposed to be out like over a month ago. Supposedly they reshot some of the sprues, which I'll wait. That's fine.
That's good. Yeah, we don't mind when they do that.
Yeah. I don't mind that at all. Not like Airfix. Did I say that out loud, or did I think it really hard?
I think you just thought it hard.
Okay, good. Maybe it goes down, to Australia, and because like the toilets flow the other way, it comes out. It's all strange. It's great.
So where do you get? Because how many kits a year do you build? Given with all the kits that you review and everything, you must pump out quite a few.
I do. They used to call me in San Diego Mr. Prolific. So I probably do a little more than one a month.
Jeez, that's impressive.
Yeah. So I mean, because they're mediocre, so it's not it's not like it's not like they're good. They're just done.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. So yeah, I mean, like when COVID was really hit, and I was in Texas, and we had like bad weather for a long time. I don't know if you guys heard about the grid failed that, for a week.
Yes.
Yeah, we heard about that. Yeah.
I built 18 kits in 20.
Holy.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I was just a machine. But some of them were shelf queens, to be honest. They were like, oh, look, that one's 2/3 done. Let's finish that one.
Yeah.
And I do this thing with guys I know where we do like a shelf queen build.
Yep.
Right? Like you find 3 shelf queens and you get together on video or whatever and you go, okay, here's the 3 that I have, and your mates pick the one that you got to finish.
Yep.
Oh no.
Yep. I like that idea.
Yeah.
I hate that idea.
I like it. Pushes you into an area you don't want to go.
Well, that's true.
Well, I would never go in an area
Yeah.
that I don't want to go because when I stop building things, I throw them in the bin.
I mean, at one point you wanted to go there because you built 2/3 of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
You nearly got there.
you nearly got there. Exactly. I had my last one. I had this Matilda, BEF Matilda that was like inside the armor conversion, Tiger Model Designs conversion, Fruel tracks, Edward photo etch, like everything you can think of. And the inside was done, and I just put it aside. And my British friend, he goes, why don't you grow a pair and finish that thing? You've been inside one at Bovington. He got me like a backstage pass where I actually got to get inside their runner Matilda.
Yeah.
Right?
Lovely.
Because you've been inside one. You don't have no excuse not to finish it. And, it worked. I finished it. So.
And that leads to the next question, because you build so many kits, where do you display them all?
So in my, I work from home. I travel a lot for work, but when I'm not traveling, I work from home, and I've got, it's IKEA, but it's, it's like the nice IKEA. These 3, it's the actual Swedish IKEA, not the Finnish IKEA.
Yeah.
Just to upset our Scandinavian friends. Well, I'm Norwegian, so I don't care. I can piss them all off. So I have 3 of those, and it's got like each one has 4 glass shelves, and then underneath there's like a bookcase. And so my current ones go in there,
Right.
and I kind of cycle them through, and then I put them in shoe boxes and keep them in a like a little shoe box. And then don't know which shoebox is which because I'm not organized enough to put like a label on it and say inside this
Box
inside this box is in fact a World War I Mark IV tank. Oh, that's why it looks like that.
Yes.
Well, it kind of might be like Christmas. Every time you come across a box, you open it and go, "Whoa, look at that!"
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true because sometimes it's like, wow, I did a good job on that. I mean, for a bronze, but other times, you open it up and you're like, man, I used to suck at this. I mean, this is.
Yeah.
We're all the same. We've all got those models that we sort of hide away, or
Stick
some
it at
people
the
even
very back of the shelf.
Yeah, but some people actually sort of keep them just to show how they've improved.
Not all of us.
No, not all of us.
No.
Well, when we moved from Texas to here, I shed myself of about 25 built kits that they were just,
Oh,
10 years in the past, and they were old, and I had like the newer version, it was like, oh, there's the old, Dragon one, and I've already got the Meng one, or, whatever, and I'm like, this is just going in the bin.
Yeah.
So
When you think about it, you only lost 2 years worth of models, right?
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I've ever showed you, so let's see this. Can I flip this? I'm not that good. Oh, here it is. Hold on. Is it going to turn around?
So now Brad's attempting to show us around his dim, dark dungeon.
There we go. There's
that's impressive.
that's
That's
the
a
stash.
Oh, there's 2 of those great big storage things.
Yeah.
Storage racks.
Storage racks, and they're both chock-a-block full of model kits and
Yep.
accessories by the looks of it as well.
And yes, there's accessory, and there's over there is my spray booth
That's a nice setup.
and my compressor, and then the total chaos that is known as Brad's workspace. And this is the clean version, mind you. I came down here this afternoon and I went, I should clean that up just in case they see it. And so this is the clean version.
So that's really why you're showing it to us, because you have cleaned it.
Yeah, it's true.
Photographic evidence. It is clean.
Very true.
That there's only 3 kits on there right now. If you notice, there was the Matilda, the R35, and the Sherman. So that's another amazing feat.
So you can build sort of 3 at once, or
I think I've thought about it. I can build 3.
yeah.
I think 3 for me is the optimum, because I can, you've got the drying, either glue is drying or paint is drying,
Sure.
or you get tired of something,
Yes.
right? Like
Yeah,
or
you
you
burn out.
F it, you F it up, and you're like, okay, I'm not paying attention well enough on this, and like with the crab, I made a mistake on it, and I'm like, I need to walk away from this for a little bit,
Yeah.
because it's too expensive to screw up,
Yep.
And so then I jumped into my review of the R35, and that just started to fly together. So I think 3 is a good number. I mean, sometimes I might have a 4th one that's like done, but you go like, oh, maybe just a little bit more weathering, or maybe just a little,
Yeah.
I'll work on the base or what have you. So yeah, 3 is the magic number for me. I showed you guys, I sent the pictures of that 1:48 scale Churchill, the Tamiya one.
Yes, you did.
Yes,
you
you
put
did,
it
yep.
on our group Facebook page on your bench.
On your bench.
Yeah. And very nice mediocre model, I think, if I do say so myself.
I thought so too, but I thought the German VT was quite a very ordinary model as well.
Yes. Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I like to be consistent in my mediocrity. I mean, I don't want to like all of a sudden get good and then not know what I'm doing. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be
You don't want to. You don't want to peak too early, do you?
no.
Brad, it's been fantastic having you on the show, mate. And,
Thanks.
We look forward to catching up with you again, whether you sort of end up down here in Oz or
We end up your end of the woods.
yep. Which
I'm telling you guys, I'll probably have to let one of you know. I don't know, and I'm just going to show up one time. You're going to be at a club meeting, and you're going to hear that voice, and you're going to go, "Holy crap! Who let him in the country?"
yeah.
No, it sounds like a plan, mate.
The trouble is, our club meetings aren't well publicised, so you're going to have trouble finding where we are.
Oh, no, if he gets contact with either Julian or myself,
But then that spoils the shot. The
well,
surprise.
if only one of us knows.
Well,
The other two
or a
won't.
contest, that would be even better. Just be like,
yeah, no, that'd be
Right?
a lot of fun.
Yeah, show up at Melbourne Model Expo.
Yeah.
bring one thing to enter, and then you guys go, did you see that mediocre kit? Just like something Brad would
Kind
do.
of rung a bell, that one.
There must be an Australian mediocre modeler around here.
Oh,
Love it.
Hey, say good day to Dave when you're talking to him again, because he's also a very funny chap.
Oh, definitely.
Very dry.
Yes.
Very dry humour.
As Julian said, he keeps the Brad Belsheim car on the tracks, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise, God knows where I'd go, right?
Could go anywhere.
Oh, mate, fantastic chatting with you. Have all the best for the upcoming Christmas season.
Yes.
Too.
Don't drink too much eggnog or whatever it is you Yanks have over there for alcoholic sort of
Do
stuff
that?
at Christmas. And
Alcoholics? What? Did someone say my name?
all right, mate. Thanks very much, and we'll catch you again soon.
All right. You guys have a good one.
You too, brother.
Well, that was great to hear from Brad.
Always. What a character. What a great guy.
And we had so much fun when we met up with him over in the US, him and Dave.
yeah.
And again, I want to publicly thank them for shouting us dinner and beers at, what was that restaurant we were at?
Hooters.
Hooters, that's right, yeah. No,
Fine culinary.
it was,
Everything
yeah.
it was.
And we had Mark Box with us that day,
Yes,
if you
Mark.
remember.
Mark also put in and looked
fantastic.
after us.
Yeah, so it's just great that everybody's so welcoming amongst our little hobby wherever you go. Interstate, around the world. We have such a good time, and there's so many great people I meet and talk to, and it's what makes the hobby the hobby.
It is, yes. Makes
It is
it a great community.
Even if he is only a mediocre modeler.
Yeah, he's a great bloke. Great bloke.
All right, guys, I think that's it for the show.
Yeah.
Yep.
time to head back home and do some modelling.
There you go. So, Ian.
It's adios from me.
Julian.
Yeah, see ya.
No worries. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We're not quite sure when we're going to be back for our next show because, as I got mentioned earlier on by the Falcon, our next show is due on the 24th, and I was going to kind of figure out what's going on there. So, yeah, we'll figure something out. We'll be back to you.
Yep.
This brings to... Oh, season 7 starts next year, I think.
Yeah.
Gee, you've been going for a while now.
We have. Doing all right.
Next year's going to be an exciting year.
Yep.
All right, we'll be back, and I'll let you guys know. Don't forget to go to our On Your Bench Facebook page
Yep.
to share all the fantastic builds you've been
And
doing.
there have been some great builds on there.
There has, and geez, the numbers are just skyrocketing. The amount of people on there and showing all the great stuff.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
great to see all the conversations.
Okay, look, I'll before we go, I can't remember the guy's name. I apologise beforehand, but one that really got me was someone's building a 1950s black and white rocket ship
Yes!
based off a radio show,
Yes,
BBC
that looked-
radio
oh,
show, and that ticked all my boxes.
Yeah,
That's right up
yeah.
my alley. I thought that is one of the most coolest things I've seen in a long time.
What blows me away is the level of modelling out there. You know,
Well, I mean, yes, but also I would have thought that our listener base would be far worse in skills overall than they actually are.
No,
why would you say that?
No, I don't know. I just I always think of you know how it is the average is always far lower than you expect it to be, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone thinks that they're a good driver in their own mind.
Yeah.
But when it actually comes down to it, they're all pretty average or
Yeah.
crap, you
Yeah.
know.
But it's quite the opposite.
Yeah,
of what you're saying.
it's the opposite. Like,
I know.
where are these come? What's going on? And why aren't these people floating around and getting more notice? I mean, some of them are. Like, some of them are quite prolific modelers that are in there, but also some of them
But the average-
unheard of, and
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
churning out great stuff.
And some of the pictures they're showing on that page, on any given Sunday, they could win first place at a model show.
yeah,
They're that good. The quality is that good.
definitely agree.
See, the benches have a very high standard.
We have.
Good on you guys.
Yes, we love you all.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Bye.
See you later.
Yeah.